Once upon a time there was a little girl. Mother loved her without memory, and grandmother even more. For her granddaughter's birthday, her grandmother gave her a red cap. Since then, the girl went everywhere in it. The neighbors said so about her. Here is Little Red Riding Hood. Once my mother baked a pie and said to her daughter, "Go, Little Red Riding Hood, to your grandmother, bring her a pie and a pot of butter and find out if she is healthy." Little Red Riding Hood got together and went to her grandmother. She walks through the forest, and towards her is a grey wolf. "Where are you going, Little Red Riding Hood?" asks the wolf. "I go to my grandmother and bring her a pie and a pot of butter." "Does your grandmother live far away?" "Far away," says Little Red Riding Hood. "Over there, in that village, behind the mill, in the first house on the edge." "Okay," says the wolf, "I also want to visit your grandmother. I'll follow this road, and you follow that one. Let's see which of us comes first." The wolf said this and ran, as was the spirit, along the shortest path. And Little Red Riding Hood went along the longest road. She walked slowly, stopped along the way, picked flowers and collected them in bouquets. Before she even had time to reach the mill, the wolf had already galloped to grandmother's house and knocked on the door. Knock, knock. "Who's there?" asks the grandmother. "It's me, your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood." The wolf answers, "I came to visit you, brought a pie and a pot of butter." And the grandmother was ill at that time and lay in bed. She thought it was really Little Red Riding Hood, and shouted, "Pull the string, my child, the door will open." The wolf pulled the string, the door and opened. The wolf rushed at the grandmother and swallowed her at once. He was very hungry because he hadn't eaten for 3 days. Then he closed the door, lay down on grandmother's bed and waited for Little Red Riding Hood. Soon she came and knocked. Knock, knock. "Who's there?" asks the wolf. And his voice is rough, hoarse. Little Red Riding Hood was frightened, but then she thought that her grandmother was hoarse from a cold, and answered, "It's me. Your granddaughter. Brought you a pie and a pot of butter." The wolf cleared his throat and said more subtly, "Pull the string, my child, the door and it will open." Little Red Riding Hood pulled the rope door and opened. The girl entered the house, and the wolf hid under the blanket and said, "Put the pie on the table, granddaughter, put the pot on the shelf. And lie down next to me." Little Red Riding Hood lay down next to the wolf and asks, "Grandma, why do you have such big hands?" "This is to hug you tighter, my child." "Grandma, why do you have such big ears?" "To hear better, my child." "Grandma, why do you have such big eyes?" "To see better, my child." "Grandma, why do you have such big teeth?" "And this is to quickly eat you, my child." Before Little Red Riding Hood had time to gasp, the wolf rushed at her and swallowed her. But, fortunately, at this time woodcutters with axes on their shoulders passed by the house. They heard the noise, ran into the house and killed the wolf. And then they ripped open his belly. And from there came Little Red Riding Hood, followed by her grandmother, both safe and sound.